Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lucille Trzcinski. As I've said to you on many occasions, I believe that government should be a transparent and a participatory process. I believe that it should not be the domain of a small group of politically connected people, the politically elite, as I like to call them. Under our Constitution, we all have a right to be part of our government, part of the decision-making process in our town. And that means more than having just the right to vote. It means the right to be informed, to be part of the debate, and to be part of the decision-making process. I saw that process erode last year during the Wooding-Kaplan situation, and I see it continuing to erode. I am committed to the restoration of that process which allows us to be part of our government. I also believe that Wallingford needs to move forward. As in life, the same thing is true in business. You have to move ahead. You don't have any choice. Wallingford is like any other business, confronted with the same needs of generating revenues and minimizing expenses. I feel that we have done a poor job in that regard. Our taxes are higher than ever. The touted mill rate really means nothing. Since 1993, our taxes have risen. And in the last couple of years, they've risen 38 to 40% on average. This must stop. If a multi-million-dollar corporation is to run productively and efficiently and profitably, then the directors must be willing to look at and confront entrenched constitutional problems. There are many things we need, and among them is the need to bring our communication system into the present. We need an interactive internet, not only between departments in the town hall, but between the town hall and its citizenry. I'm embarrassed by the fact that our police officers must cross the street from the police station to the library in order to investigate crimes. That can be corrected, and it is not an expensive item. It can be done very inexpensively, and it's something that must be done. We need to revise our town charter. I spoke to you about that last time. We need to look at that. We tried to have a charter revision commission in 1993. However, that was stopped before it could even begin, really. We need to look at two things that concern me especially. One is that it takes 7 votes to override a mayoral veto, and therefore it is almost impossible for the public or the council to have any input whatsoever into our town budget. That must stop. We also need term limits. 24 years is far too long for any one person to be in control. We need to protect our remaining farmland. This is a major concern of mine. It's unconscionable to me that the town should be able to go on the land of private citizens who have no desire to sell it, who wish to continue farming, and yet they had to allow by law, even within the course of a lawsuit, the town to go on the property to do surveys as to whether or not roads could be built over their land. We need to address issues concerning our schools. We need to look at the way our Board of Education spends its dollars and what its commitment is to an educational process that will allow our students to deal economically on a global level. They need the training that I feel our school system does not currently provide. We need to look at our recreational facilities. Wallingford owns thousands of acres of open space, and in all that space we can't seem to find 25 acres to allow for a Little League complex. The members of the Little League have told me that they will, and they've told the government, that they will provide all of the funding for building the complex and for maintaining it. So it's not going to cost us anything. We already have the land. Can't we provide just a little bit of it to our youth in Wallingford? We need to look at the maintenance of our town-owned properties. This $72 million school renovation program that the administration is so fond of citing as one of their achievements was really caused by 24 years of deferred maintenance. There could have been a lot more renovations if there wasn't so much repair. That's a bill the people of Wallingford are going to have to pay, and as a bonus, you're going to get $20 million more in roof expenses because the roofs were not touched at all. This is poor planning. This is not the way to spend our tax dollars. We need to consider carefully how we buy and sell real estate. We have bought open space land and that's a good thing, but we have paid far more for it than we ever had to pay if we had purchased it wisely and in a timely fashion. And we need to be concerned about how we sell what we do own. Simpson School property was sold for the bargain price of $100,000. Had we investigated the cost of the cleanup, which we did not, and had cleaned it up ourselves, we could have sold it for over $1 million. That was a direct hit, if I can use that word, on your pocketbooks. We need to pursue a viable solution for Wooding Kaplan after all the facts are out and after we have all had an opportunity to look at all of the possible resolutions of that issue. And then we can come to a consensus as a town once we have all the pros and all the cons of each proposal, so that we can all have some measure of satisfaction as to how that property is finally developed. We need to develop and come to a resolution with Community Lake. That has lingered far too long. And we need to talk about our downtown. As many of you may know, I have been concerned about the downtown and its viability from an economic perspective for a long, long time. Last week there was a summit, a symposium, held in Southport. And every town along the proposed Metro North rail line was invited to look at issues concerning the impact of that rail line on the downtowns all along the stretch of it from Boston to New York. Every town was invited. Wallingford did not go. No one from Wallingford went. No one participated. I think that's wrong. That would not have happened if I had been sitting in town hall. And we need to do all of these things, all of the things I've talked about. We need to do these things without raising taxes. We need to utilize to the maximum degree possible the monies and the influence that we can obtain from both our state representatives and those that we have at the federal level. We need to use that kind of funding wherever and whenever possible. Remember, Wallingford taxpayers contribute over $45 million in state income taxes. Some of that money belongs to us and should be, all of that money belongs to us and should be spent here whenever it is possible. Most importantly, however, we need a long-range plan to do all of these things in a systematic and fiscally responsible way. I have 30 years of business experience. I have had to spend my own money to get ahead, and I have had to watch those dollars very carefully. I think I'm very well qualified to handle the business aspect of our town. Based on those concerns, and with the support and encouragement of many people, I decided this past summer that I would run for mayor of Wallingford. I hope that you will consider and support me in that endeavor come November 6th. Thanks so much. I'm Lucille Trzcinski, and I approve this message.